Jesus will give his life for others. John Mark's Gospel, chapter 10, we read verse 32. Now the disciples were on their way to Jerusalem. Jesus was leading the way. The disciples were amazed. Those who followed were afraid. Again, Jesus took the 12 to one side. He told them what was going to happen to him. Do you know what happened to Jesus when he went to Jerusalem? I'm reading with you John Mark's Gospel, chapter 15, 32 till 47. And we read it in the New International Reader's Version from Switzerland. My name is Stefan Hager. And we read what Jesus tells the disciples on his way. We are going to Jerusalem, he says, up to Jerusalem. The Son of Man will be handed over to the chief priests and the teachers of the law. They will sentence him to death. They will hand him over to people who are not Jews. That means unbelievers, pagans. The people will make fun of him and spit on him. They will whip him and kill him. That really happened with the Romans who tortured Jesus and crucified him to death. Here he says in verse 34, read on, 3 days later he will rise from the dead. So Jesus prophesied his death and his resurrection himself just before it happened, before anyone even would believe it. James and John came to Jesus. They were the sons of Zebedee. Teacher, they said, we would like to ask a favor from you. What do you want me to do for you? He asked. They replied, let one of us sit at your right hand in your glorious kingdom. Let the other one sit at your left hand. You don't know what you're asking, Jesus says. Why would Jesus say you don't know what you're asking? They had a different mindset. They were thinking about what? Just maybe about worldly things. Can you drink the cup of suffering? Jesus asked. The cross. Can you drink the cup of suffering? Or can you go through the baptism of suffering? Or can you go through the baptism of suffering I must go through? What is the baptism of suffering? It is when Jesus dies, suffers and dies on the cross for you and for me. We can, they answered. Look, they even said we can do it. I think they didn't know what he was talking about. The cross is a cruel death, and it was a death sentence, capital punishment for murderers and thieves and robbers and rebels under the Roman government, 1st century, in all over the Roman Empire. Now let's read. Jesus said to them, you will drink the cup I drink, and you will go through the baptism I go through. And then verse 40, but it is not for me to say who will sit at my right or left hand. These places, they belong to those they are prepared for. The other 10 disciples, they heard about it. What they said. They became angry at James and John. They called them together. He said, you know about those who are rulers of the nations. They hold power over their people. The high officials order them around. Don't be like that. So Jesus says, don't be like the leaders, the rulers, the kings, the politicians, the lawmakers of this world, the judges. Don't be like them. Instead, anyone. We are reading still verse 43. Anyone who wants to be important among you, he must be your servant. Look here, it says a servant. And anyone who wants to be first must be slave to everyone, even the Son of Man did not come to be served. Instead, he came to serve others. He came to give his life as a price for setting many people free.